I had talked with a group of education activists who had told me about charter schools and the success of the schools. And I took a look at it and said, this is the right thing to do for the people of New York, and we're going to do our best to go do it. You know, Bob, I'm a product of public schools. I went to a public high school. I went to public school since kindergarten. And it was an incredibly invaluable experience for me, learning. And I ended up from there going to a great college. When I was governor, too many kids in my position didn't have that opportunity. And I wanted to do my best so that everybody had that opportunity.
Is there anything particular about charter schools that that sort of piqued your interest, that made it the thing that would be
absolutely
different?
First of all, competition. It works in every other element of society, but we had these government monopolies in education where you just had to go along with whatever that monopoly told the parents was going to happen to their kid. The second was innovation. You know, America's so great because we're always innovating and coming up with new ideas. In education, it was hidebound. There was one idea: more money, and it didn't work. It didn't raise the level of success. And then accountability. You know, public schools are going to be there. Whether they succeed or failed, by and large, with limited exceptions, they're not going to go away. Whereas with charter schools, they were held accountable. If they didn't work, we closed them. And we did end up closing some. But if they worked, we allowed them to grow. They did grow. And as you said, 175,000 kids today. And it was a great thing for the families that have had this opportunity for their kids.
In my mind, there's a lot of beautiful things about charters. One of them is the notion of bringing. I always called it social justice without a social program, which made it a great issue for a Republican politically. But you're providing choice for people who otherwise don't have it, and that to me struck me as an incredibly progressive idea.
It is. The problem is that so-called progressives today are regressive. They defend a failing status quo in the name of what they call progressivism. It's not. It's really just a political wall they build for their own protection with constituency groups at the expense of the kids trapped inside that wall. So we did our best to break it. We did break it down. Not as much as I would have hoped by today, but there's continuing to grow, and parental pressure continues to build because they work. And, you know, today the big thing is equity and inclusion. And I read all the time about how minorities don't earn as much, don't have as much opportunities. And that's true. But it starts in kindergarten, it starts in first grade, it starts in second grade. And the hypocrites of the left who talk about this inequality while trapping minority kids in schools that can't teach them is just astounding. And I honestly think education opportunity, beginning not just in college, because there are those who work very hard to get minority and low-income kids to colleges with a significant degree of success. It's got to start in kindergarten and first grade and second grade. So not everybody's going to go to college, but everybody can have a better future. And it's just absolute hypocrisy to defer to the teachers' unions or the other interest groups and trap low-income kids in schools you know are going to fail them, and then say, oh, they're not doing as well.